Hi, my name is Lindsay Lamb. I'm a soon-to-be graduating senior of Bishop McNamara High School, and I'm an ambassador in Girl Scouts. Here is a short introduction of my Girl Scout Award. My project is called MONSTER. It's an acronym for Mental, Observant, Need, Self-Care, Teach, Empathy, and Reflection. What it stands for, or the meaning, is mental, the issue or challenge that's causing stress. Observant, recognizing or being observant of your behavior and actions from what is causing you stress, sadness, frustration, etc. Need, thinking about the steps needed to take care of yourself and how to overcome the challenge you're facing in front of you. Self-care, practicing self-care methods to take care of your mental, emotional, and physical health. Teach, how can you advise others to take care of themselves, and what help or advice can you give out to them? Empathy, being empathetic with others when they are not okay, and being there for them. Reflection, reflecting in a positive mindset from things that have caused you stress, frustration, etc. And reflecting how much you can grow from the challenge you overcame. My project is a mental health and self-care podcast. There is 4 episodes to the podcast discussing topics related to mental health and self-care. The 4 topics that we'll be discussing is time management, recognizing negative talk, bottling up your feelings, and self-care and mental health days. People that are a part of each episode is Mr. Greer, who's a theology and psychology teacher at Bishop McNamara High School. He is also my project advisor for my Girl Scout project. Mrs. Yemofio, who is one of the Bishop McNamara High School senior counselors. Kendrid Briscoe, who is a soon-to-be graduating senior at Bishop McNamara High School. Anya Harris, who is another soon-to-be graduating senior at Bishop McNamara High School. And Jacke Alvarez, who is a soon-to-be graduating senior at Thurgood Marshall Academy. Before we jump right into the episode, here's a short prayer to start off with. Dear God, thank you for waking me up every day to be with my wonderful family, friends, teachers, and those that support me. I feel very grateful and blessed for everything. Thank you for giving me a heart to live, a body to express, and a mind to flow throughout. I hope to touch the hearts and minds of everyone with my Girl Scout project. I hope that they stay safe and blessed. Amen. All right. Hi, my name is Lindsay Lamb. On my right, I have Kendrid Briscoe. And on my left, I have Mr. Greer.
How's it going?
And today we'll be talking about bottling up your feelings. An intro to the topic is, why is bottling up your feelings an issue for teens? How does it impact their lives? What problems are caused by bottling up your feelings? Why is it bad? And to start off, to define what bottling up your feelings means, it means bottling up anything emotional that from things that negatively impact you. So
Yeah, so bottling up your feelings is one of those things. For a lot of us, we use it as sort of a defense mechanism to try to limit how much those emotions are affecting us. And so we really sort of try to push them down, keep them inside. And this can lead to a lot of challenges for us, right? Bottling up our feelings can cause us to carry these emotions with us and just not be fully aware of them. And it can lead to increases in stress, increases in physical ailments, as well as creating a lot of mental strain.
speak your mind.
Well, yeah. Um, Basically, bottling up your feelings is kind of like, well, for me, it's kind of like trying to keep those emotions away from other people because you don't want them to have to deal with that to try and help in a way. Like, it's kind of like, I guess you feel like you're burdening them sometimes when you let them know those things because you can see the stress that it's putting on them, that you're stressed or upset or sad, and it kind of keeps you from wanting to make people go through that with you.
So, as you two are both high school seniors, right, finishing up senior year, Would you both say that you have at times bottled up feelings, kind of hidden them away?
Definitely.
Yes.
All right. And Kendra, you mentioned that one of the reasons that you do this is not to burden others, right? So you're like, oh, I don't want them to have to deal with it. So how can I just sort of hide it from them? What kind of impact does that have on you?
Um, it's not good. It's like kind of it does make you feel really alone and like isolated, and it doesn't help when like I read like an open book, so my emotions instantly show right there from whether it's just my eyes or anything. And so people will instantly know, and it kind of makes them feel bad when you're trying to hold these emotions in and they obviously know something's wrong.
Yeah, and that can become really tough. I can imagine for you that isolation piece. And right now, hopefully coming out of the pandemic, right? Isolation has been a big challenge for teenagers, especially, but I think for all of us as we've gone through this pandemic. How would you say being in a pandemic has impacted the way you bottle up your feelings?
It's definitely made it worse because now you have that being isolated within your room and kind of, I guess, more time to yourself to think about things yourself and all that. And then also because you can't really contact with people, be in contact with people in real life, so it's easier to decline a FaceTime call or a text message or ignore a text message than it is to tell somebody, oh, I'm fine in real life.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. What about you, Lindsay? What do you think as far as this idea of bottling up feelings and creating that isolation?
Well, for me, I don't bottle up my feelings anymore. I used to a lot when I was younger, back in middle school, up until my sophomore year, and it was a really hard time for me. I was closed off about my emotions and issues, and I didn't want anyone to help me because I always had this mindset of like they have their own stuff to worry about. They don't have to worry about me. I can be fine. I'm okay, or pretend that I'm okay so that they don't have to worry about me. They can focus on their stuff. And also, just like, I didn't want to be a bother to them because who's going to help me with my issues if they have their own stuff to worry about, you know? So I thought I'll be okay and just pretend like I'm okay and just get over it.
So, what kind of problems came up for both of you as you would go through these experiences where you were bottling up and hiding those emotions?
For me, I'd say definitely like being physically actually like drained and an immense amount of burnout. Because last year I went through a lot of times where I was trying to bottle up my feelings, and I was in the Sankofa program, and it was fun. But like when I was going through all that stuff, it kind of made me lose interest, even to the point where I just kind of stopped showing up. And it kind of like tore up all the aspects of my life because I just stopped being interested in all the things that I normally was. And even my family recognized that I was really closed off from them for a little bit of time.
Let's say that sounds like a really tough experience. What did you learn from that?
Well, I did learn that I'm not a burden and that other people can help you, and it you do need other people to help you, and like expressing yourself is the best way to make yourself feel better. And then also people notice that you're going through something even if you don't realize that they notice.
Lindsay, what would you say um, when you think about these ideas of like bottling up your feelings? How did it make you feel as you were going through middle school? Like, what were some of those feelings that you experienced?
I thought nobody will understand me or what I was going through. So it would also lead to not letting me or allow myself to reach out to people. I didn't reach out to anyone, so I didn't ask for any help. Um, what was the other part of the question?
Uh, I think you answered it. Talking about like the way you were feeling as a result of bottling up
Oh,
those
I
feelings.
mean, it wasn't good. It wasn't. Like it was bad. It was really bad actually, because in a way, like it made me feel like a lot of I get oh my god, I got in like a lot of bad doubts about like things that bothered me, but I didn't speak up about it. I kind of just closed myself off and just kept the same mindset over and over again. So it wasn't a great time.
Yeah, and I think that idea of advocacy is a really big part of this, right? Learning to be able to speak up for yourself. I know I've mentioned this in past episodes when we've talked, but I have a 10-year-old daughter, right? And thinking about speaking up for yourself, what would you say to the 10-year-old version of yourselves about speaking up about your emotions and your feelings?
Mm, I would say that your voice is heard, definitely. Just because you're labeled as a quiet kid doesn't mean that people aren't listening, and doesn't mean that people don't hear you, because they do and they should listen. And just because certain people aren't going to listen to you doesn't mean that everyone's not going to listen. You're going to end up finding that one person or even few people who actually listen to everything.
It's a great point, Kendra. I really like that how you talked about this idea of finding that person. How do you find that person?
It's not really a how. You can't really exactly point out when or how you're going to find that person. It just kind of happens where you just express yourself and open up to somebody, and then one day you kind of sit and think about it and realize, wow, this person really knows a lot about me, and I really can open up to this person.
And it seems like that would be really affirming too, to have that person who seems to know you and know you well. There's a lot of value in that. Lindsay, what would you say to 10-year-old Lindsay?
I would say try to open up a little more, because I used to be reserved about what was bothering me and stuff. And I'll also tell myself that you are loved, and um, you need to reach out for help when you're at your lowest, and don't close yourself off from people. Um, and also know that what you're doing isn't good, but if you get that help or ask for help, you'll be okay in the end.
Great. And I think that's the important end goal, right? And the question, I guess, is how do we get there, right? We think about like as we go through different experiences, trying to identify those areas for growth or improvement that we might want to take. Um, if I'm struggling, I'm bottling up my feelings all the time. I'm starting to feel sick. I'm uncomfortable. I'm losing interest in things. What's the first step I can take to try to get those feelings out, or to try recognize even that I'm bottling them up?
Maybe like activities and stuff. Personally, when I'm upset, I dance, and it expels energy that kind of makes it so that you're not focused on that as much, or it kind of clears up your mind a bit, or even like writing down your feelings, cuz I kind of, if I'm like really bothered by something, I'll write it down, even if it's like 4 pages long, cuz sometimes you just have to write all that stuff down.
Oh yeah, and so finding those outlets, I think, is really important. So dance, journaling, or writing; those are both great ones. What about you, Lindsay?
For me, it's journaling or doing like journal prompts. But the main thing I've been doing lately, or whenever like something really bothers me a lot, is mind mapping. And basically, you put whatever's bothering you in the middle, like do whatever design you want, like a circle or anything, and then you have like lines leading from the issue to other issue, like little things that lead up to that main issue. So just mainly that helps me a lot, and also helps me understand myself more, and um, I guess how I can evaluate my feelings on certain things, and also what can I do to get better. Because then after I mind map, I do a little reflection of what can I do to better myself, and the lesson that I learned from what I've gone through, and then how can I continue moving forward. And honestly, it's a long process because I will mind map a lot from like the one main issue and some like secondary issues from the main issue.
Mhm.
So, but it really helps a lot. So I would say mind mapping is a really good way to go if you're down for the writing. But if you're not down for writing, take a nap or listen to music. Do something that makes you happy.
No, perfect. Quick question for you. Are you going to put an example of that mind mapping in our resources page?
Yes.
Sweet. So that mind mapping, Lynn's going to give you all those sort of details on how to do it. Maybe give you a short demonstration of it in our resources. That's a great thing to do. It ties in really nicely with the journaling and really helping you to get those emotions on paper and out of you so that you can look at them and really sort of reflect on them. That definitely helps you to keep them from bottling up. I know for my daughter, art is one of her favorite things. She loves to paint right now. She's really big into it. And so when she's feeling some kind of way, you can always guess because the painting supplies come out. She starts drawing, she starts painting. Um, and so art's a really good one for her.
You also get to express a lot of your emotions through the mind mapping, which is also a big factor because you're not keeping them in and suppressing them. So it's good to like let all those emotions out, whether through paper or something that makes you happy, and kind of be able to bring yourself back together to reflect or do something about it.
Yeah, no, and I think these are really important first steps to take. They're a little bit less vulnerable than, say, talking to another person because they're really personal and you're able to express them in a way that's meaningful to you. And I think that's really important. How do you take that next step, though? How do you go from taking them out, letting them be seen by yourself, and start sharing the way you're feeling with others?
Well, it takes a lot of courage, but like it just kind of comes to seeing a friend or finding a friend or a counselor or somebody and just talking to them or telling them, hey, can I vent for a little bit, even if you don't go into all the details, just kind of letting them know the basis of the situation.
Awesome.
I would say asking for a hug. Hugs are really nice and they can come for you. Um, what else? Treating yourself to like a spa day or anything.
Yeah, so coming up with those even experiential things, right, where you're going to be more relaxed, and so you may be more open to sharing and having that conversation. All right, you and a friend do a spa day, you're able to have that conversation, talk things out, um, with maybe a little bit less pressure than you might experience elsewhere. Um, have you ever just talked out loud in your room, just like, all right, let me just get this out? I know I haven't. I'll admit it.
Sometimes for me, it's sometimes only like if I'm all right. Okay. I do talk to myself, but it's not like like
It's not like crazy talk.
yeah.
Yeah, no, right. No, but like before you talk to someone, sometimes it's easier just to say it, right? No one's here. Don't have to be
It's just
vulnerable.
like speaking your thoughts out, and
Yeah.
you're just thinking in your thoughts while speaking. So
Personally,
I
I
do
talk to my
that.
dog.
Dogs are great for that. Yeah. That's I love being able to just sort of sit there with a dog. Dog has no judgment, right? It just like sits there and like, oh, you're petting me. I love this. And you're talking and I understand nothing that you're saying. And you're able to get everything out to this non-judgmental dog that's there, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, so I think any pets, maybe not fish. I don't know how good fish would be for that.
You hug the
Um,
fishbowl. It's like
Thanks, Goldie, for listening. Um, but no, I think there's value in that. Absolutely. So one of the things that we sort of have focused on in all of these sessions is talking about the ideas of like self-care,
Mhm.
right? And so we spend a lot of time being like, oh, self-care, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. What does that mean to you when it comes to this idea of like bottling up feelings? What kind of self-care can sort of support you as you're trying to deal with these different emotions?
I'd say like, well, for me, personal care, like actual self-care like that. I know I love bubble baths. That's just like one of my favorite things to do. I love the sense of like bath bombs or soap and stuff like that. It's kind of therapeutic, especially with like aromatherapy.
Hmm.
Those like air diffusers, they are amazing. I love those. And even like doing my hair, that's like one of my favorite things to do. It kind of helps me de-stress because I'm worried about how it looks. So, or not worried, but like thinking about how it looks, and it kind of takes my mind off of it. Um, and then I say the last thing would probably be, like as I said, like dance, exercising, going on like a walk, or if it's summer, a swim.
Awesome. I know Lindsay's first one. It's going to be the nap.
It's good for you. You get to
Agreed. I love it.
get your energy back. Like if you're tired, get a nap in. Like it's good for you.
And it's really good for having to deal with your emotions. Sometimes you just have to you're bottling them up because you haven't found a way to deal with it, but giving yourself that rest allows you to be able to think about it or interact with them a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm giving you a hard time, but no, you're right. It's a really good one. Any other ones come to mind?
What was the question?
Yeah, no. When you're thinking about like self care, as it relates to like bottling up feelings, like what are some of the things you can do to sort of take care of yourself that help you to deal with some of those emotions, or will allow you to get them out?
For self care, I will focus on like calming myself down first, and like either doing something that makes me happy, which is also part of my self care, or it's self care in general. So another self care thing I do that makes me happy is like drinking hot chocolate with milk, and it's nice. It's really good. I really recommend. That's what I would do, and also just like a little mini me spa day,
Mhm.
like taking a bath because I don't really take baths. I take showers, and like having like the scented candles, like the aromatherapy thing, or painting my nails, and another thing would be like listening to calm music and just relaxing or watching like a funny show to make me laugh.
Yeah, I think all of these things that you're talking about, these ideas, just like how do you calm yourself back down?
Mm-hmm.
And I think these are all really valid. Um, One for me that I think is a really important one in my repertoire, because I don't always have the time when I'm feeling all these emotions or feeling stressed to be able to like take a bubble bath. Right, I'm in the middle of class. The students just frustrated me. I can't be like, all right, bubble bath time. Right. So I really focus on my breathing. And so one of the techniques that I love to teach people, I teach it to my both of my kids do it all the time. When I coach little kids, I teach them to do this on like the second day, especially with lacrosse, because sometimes you get hit with the stick and you get upset. It's like, nope, we got to calm down. And it's called a 5-finger breath. And it's really simple. You just trace your fingers. And you take a deep breath in as you trace up, and then you exhale as you trace down. And you just trace each finger nice and slow with your deep breaths in and out to help you just take that 5-10 seconds to calm yourself back down. And so that's one of my go-tos for sure.
I just recently saw something like that on a show called Owl House, where they count their fingers up, and it's
Yeah.
like they breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. I think that's like just as a quick calming method can really be helpful. Um, and it might not prevent you from bottling up those feelings, but at least it can help you to get a little bit of them out in the short term. So, you are two very experienced high school students who have had all sorts of different friendships um, and different types of relationships. So, I want to ask you this: what strengths do you have as a friend or as a family member that you use and share to help others not bottle up their feelings?
Well, for me, I'd say just kind of being there, trying to be attentive to like text messages, replying, and FaceTime calls. But also, I guess, pretty good at giving advice because a lot of people tend to go to me for it because I'm kind of qualified as the mom friend.
The
Um,
roles of friends.
Mm.
and like I listen and I just try to like relate to them. I don't like judging people because I don't want them to judge me. So
Yeah, great. What about you, Lindsay?
For me, I'm more of the like try to understanding, but also listening friend. I'm sometimes the advice friend if they want it, but I'm more of listening and understanding friend, and then like try to encourage them to focus on what's more important than like the negatives. If that makes sense.
Mhm. Um, I think one of the best things, and you both mentioned this, is just being available to listen, right? You don't have to say a word, but if they know you're listening and they're able to vent, all of a sudden now they have that person that they can just get all those feelings out to, right? And it really is that moment of like decompression. Um, I love that whenever you like bottle up all of these emotions and all of a sudden you're allowed to get able to get them out, or you have a space to get them out, it's like a ball deflating, right? You just like, oh, now I feel so much better, right? Because all of that, you're just like letting out all this hot air and you're able to feel better. And so being able to do that and be that person for others, I think is super valuable. And I think it's really important in good friendships and good relationships.
It also makes them feel that they have someone to rant out to, but supported and loved in a way from just having someone there and just hearing them out. And I think that's a good thing.
hugs also help. Hugs, like when I see somebody's really upset about something, I kind of like there's different hugs. I give like sometimes my regular gentle hug, and if somebody's like feeling really upset about something, I kind of give them that extra hug with that big old squeeze, just to kind of let them know like you're here, you're supported. Well, I'm here, you're supported.
That's such a great way to be able to support people as well, right? For a lot of people, we all need different things, and knowing and being able to provide that physical touch for a friend who needs it, just so that they know you're there. Even if there's nothing that you can really do in that moment, just being there is so important, and really does hold that value for them. I think the other piece, and I think you both sort of alluded to it, is then checking up on those friends later, right? It's the moment, help them, give them that space to vent, but then following up, right? Making sure that they know that they're cared and loved. So as we do sort of at the end, as we get toward the ends of these episodes, we'd like to do a little bit of reflection time. It was really valuable to think about where you've been in your journey, right? So I know, Lindsay, you talked a little bit earlier about the middle school days and bottling up feelings there, and getting to a point now where you're a little bit more like an open book and really sort of getting those things out before they start to bother you.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if each of you could just sort of think about where you've been with this journey, where you are right now, and then where you hope to get to. As you guys are both getting ready to go off to college, and have those college experiences, you sort of get to be a new person, because there's a whole bunch of people that don't know who you are. And so, where have you been when it comes to bottling up those feelings? Where are you right now, and where are you hoping to get to?
Where I've been, I used to just like I guess write it down a bit. I wouldn't really tell people stuff because I was quiet. I was just there, kind of to be that friend, but I never really let people know how I was feeling. And then it kind of got better in like honestly like 11th grade is when it got the best. When and like now I open up to people a lot more and I tend to vent a little more than when I really need to, and I have outlets to expel energy and stuff. Um, I've also tried to like not when I am upset about a situation to not react out of anger, but to control my wording and know what kind of things should be said. Because if even if I'm mad at somebody, I don't really want to just like straight up cuss them out. That's kind of gonna make it worse.
Mhm.
And in the future, I hope to get better with just expressing myself because I still do try to like not say anything because like I'll be like, oh, we're in such a good mood. I don't want to ruin the mood by bringing it down. Like kind of letting people know how I feel a little more often and not waiting a couple of days.
Great. What about you, Lindsay?
For me, back in middle school, I actually stopped bottling feelings up. To be specifically, I stopped bottling my feelings up like mid junior year, or it was like in the summer between sophomore and junior. But back in middle school, it wasn't the greatest. Um, every issue that I had or that bothered me, I wouldn't speak up about it, and it was impacting me a lot negatively about how I see myself or how I saw myself, and just caring for my mental health overall. But I didn't even like do anything like to like work on it back then. I just kind of just bottled it up a lot and suppressed those emotions. But next is where I am, right?
So yeah, where would you say you are right now with bottling up feelings?
I say I'm on good terms. I'm at a good place of where I am right now. There's no like I don't bottle up my feelings anymore. It's like if anything that's bothering me, I would calm. I like nowadays or just now, like I calm myself down and try not to get frustrated and think about each thing slowly. Like just basically take one step at a time and try to be understanding with whatever's like going on, and then calm myself down more because just to like just lower negative emotions from like spewing over, and then from there just kind of either talk it out with someone or do the mind map or journaling, and then reflect, and then after that it's been good. It's a good process for me, or for how I've been doing things with my emotions.
Great. And so over the next few years, what do you hope to get better at or change or continue to grow? She told us already. It's you.
Oh,
It's still
okay.
you.
I thought she was gonna say more. Okay. For me, I hope to continue journaling and mind mapping because I really, after I did it like once or twice, I found it to be really helpful with understanding myself more and my emotions. But where I hope to progress on is um, being more calm like being more calmer and not like right off the jump frustrated, because then after once I'm frustrated or irritated, it'll or sad, it will kind of just take over my whole mood and everything, and I want to be able to control that more, or just control that more so that way I don't negatively impact other people around me or from how I act, if that makes sense.
That absolutely makes sense, right? And I think that's sort of the next step, right? You've gone through and you said, okay, I don't want to bottle up these emotions anymore, but that makes me more vulnerable because now I'm sort of sharing them. They're out in the open, right? So then it becomes like, how do I then control those emotions? And that obviously, that's sort of that next challenge to work on. So for those of you who've been spending this time with us today, there's that opportunity for you at home to take the same opportunity to reflect about where you've been when it comes to dealing with your feelings and emotions. Do you bottle them up? Do you keep them inside? Does it make you start to feel uncomfortable? Do you think that your problems or emotions would just be a burden for someone else? I think you've heard today from both Kendrid and Lindsay that that's not the case. You do have people who are willing to listen. There are techniques for being able to get those out yourself and to be able to, even if you're not ready to take that courageous step of sharing them with others, to at least be able to let them out and find those outlets for yourself. So think about where you've been. where you are right now and where you hope to be in the next couple of years. And hopefully, some of the ideas that Kendrid and Lindsay shared with you are going to help to strengthen you and give you some ideas of different ways to deal with those feelings and emotions.
All right. We are near the end of the episode. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. Thank you, Kendrid, for being part of this episode.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Greer.
Absolutely. Love doing it.
And in our next episode, we'll be discussing self care and how to take care of your mental health and finding different ways of self care. And
we'll see you next time. If you or someone you know may be struggling with self-harm or suicidal thoughts, you can call the U.S. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 8255. Again, that number is 1-800-273-TALK. 8255. Anytime, day or night. Or you can reach out via text to the crisis text line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for confidential support via text message for any person in crisis when you text HOME, HOME, to 741-741. Again, that's HOME, HOME, to 741-741.